Get in. Come on. You know, throw breakdown at me as well in this. What else? What next? By the way, best windmill ever. Changed my mind. Welcome back, and thank you for joining me for another reaction video. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, and that helps me out a lot. Hopefully it makes sure that you don't miss these when they go live. Now we're back with another Nightwish Saturday. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, and it makes me happy. And you know what else makes me happy? When you guys get excited about a song, and you've been asking for this one for a long while, so it's about time I got to it. It is called Dark Chest of Wonders, and it's a live recording from a festival I'm becoming awfully familiar with. Super excited to get stuck into this one, so I'm gonna stop talking, I'm gonna start listening. And Nightwish, Dark Chest of Wonders, let's see what you got. Whoa, easy, Empu. Easy, easy, easy. Of course, we're going back to the beginning because that's what we do around here. If you're new, get comfortable. Such an aggressive start to this song. Far more aggressive in terms of guitar than I've heard from a lot of recent Nightwish songs that I've looked at. So that's very cool. I like the heavier stuff. I like the aggressive tone on that guitar as well. Interesting piece, though, because when it started, you could hear that guitar doing that awesome riff, and the drums and keys from Thomas were doing much more of an accenting piece. They were kind of highlighting certain elements and certain notes and phrases. The guitar was filling the gaps in between, so listen out for that. And then it went into kind of a mid piece where the drums came in a little bit more permanent, and just where I stopped, you could hear it kick and transfer into kind of another cycle of that. And you can hear the keys drifting on top in the background, so playing much more of like a filler feature there, which I think is really smart as well. A lot going on, and I want to see where that goes, but have a listen out for that guitar tone because it's sick. There's something else going on there in the background and I can't hear it. There is that kind of choir effect being played. There's the nice synth work. Drums have come in with a steady double kick. I'm going to go back just once because there is something else happening in the background. I can't quite place my finger on it, but it sounds almost like tribal. It sounds like a human vocal, like a kind of almost chant sound. It may be just the collision of all the things happening, but there is something going on there. Okay, it's definitely that kind of tribal chant sound, which is very cool. They've now switched it up because the guitar is, while it's still being consistent and it's still being very busy, it's now playing a backdrop to the lead work of the keys, which is interesting because it was a reverse of those roles from the beginning. I'll go back one more to hear it go in, but that is very cool, and I like that a lot. There's almost a trade-off of roles, which I think is not only smart, but I think it's important with music like this because there's an expectation for them to deliver something new, something auditory that is almost kind of a new playing field for people, for listeners who know their music and for new listeners, and I think they are very good at ticking all those boxes. There she is. Gotta say it. Gotta say it. We'll leave it there to track forward, but one more comment on that section. The relationship between the guitar, the bass, and the keys, with the drums playing that backdrop, is is awfully, not the sound and not the actual riff and stuff, but the relationship between those is awfully reminiscent of Ghost Love's score. And that was my first listen to Nightwish, so it has a special place in my heart. But there's just that kind of, the way that lead work works with the intense guitar behind it, there's something special about that has a throwback to Ghost Love's score for me. And again, I'm not talking about it sounding the same, I'm just talking about how those things work together. I like it. Oh, I love how that changes. The progression in this is great because it doesn't feel like the guitar and melody and rhythm of that, along with the keys, doesn't feel like it ends properly. It feels like it transfers the ending of the cycle into a new start. And it is a 4/4 beat. So there's a nice kind of bit of trickery going on there where you can hear that key change develop and shift up. And they've done it again. Okay. So when she's singing, everything is constant. They provide that canvas for her to paint her vocals on top of. But then in the in-between bits, we can hear those accents again. The choir, you can hear the drummer purposefully hitting that snare and cymbal. You can hear the guitar work kind of following that rhythmic pattern. And that's happening on the and. It's not happening on the count. So if you're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, it'd be 1 and 2 and. And it's that syncopation of that bit that breaks up the dialogue almost. It breaks up the vocal rhythmic pattern so that it doesn't feel monotonous. It makes it feel fresh each time it comes in because it is a standard 4/4 and it is a simple backdrop for it. Composition. Thomas, what are you doing to me? She's so good. She's so good. And she's absolutely lovely. Man, what a singer. Again, she's not, she's staying in quite a comfortable register for her. And she's still able to push it to the higher kind of end of that and provide a power and a control on that vibrato that is remarkable. And Lord knows I'm no Julia when it comes to vocals, but I have an appreciation for the talent she has and an understanding for how important she places emphasis on top of the music, and it's special. I just thought about this. I've done a lot of Nightwish songs. I hope there's so many more to go because I'm not near done with them. Okay, that's what syncopation is about, right? So whenever you take a beat, syncopation is when you take a standard beat that is on the count and you start throwing bits off on the and you start changing that rhythm. Now, the keys there are extraordinarily busy, and there's a lot of it going. If you stripped out the intensity on certain phrases and notes and you just played one single note at the same intensity, it would sound quite like a click track. But because he's providing a different intensity on certain notes, and because he's adding a different level of care and structure to what could have been just a simple chord, it makes it sound so syncopated and broken up. He's been very selective and careful about which notes he chooses to hit a bit harder and shine through. He's got a brilliant weighting on his keys. Get in. Come on. You know, throw a breakdown at me as well in this? What else? What next? By the way, best windmill ever. Changed my mind. I'm not sorry about any pauses. Deal with it. They took something that they could... The way they started that, they could have just played that cycle over and over because it was heavy, it was intense, there was a visual element to it. It was awesome. They didn't, because quite quickly into that cycle, they started drifting the guitar and drum pattern just before the beat and the counts to glide it back in. So it almost felt like it had to... It was chasing the music, excuse the pun, and then they started adding an in-between bit to that breakdown with the drums where there's a lot more busyness. It's just showing maturity and taking something that, again, I've said this before, it could have just been that, and none of us would have, bothered. We would have just been happy with that, but they were like, no, we're Nightwish, and we're going to give you more because that's what we do. She makes me just... Look, how cool is that pause? Beast. Her voice was filled with drama there. I'm not quite sure if you'd call that operatic, but there definitely was a sound to it that reminded me of operatic singers, and it was more drama-filled. And she drifted so seamlessly from that into that higher piece again, where it was much more open mouth, a lot of power coming out. And this is an open-air concert. Like, there's external factors. There's wind... There's the distance from the mic. She's putting on a visual performance. There's a lot of things that make that much more difficult to do. But she is Floor. Bass. A tone. That's intensity. That's a change there. Again, choir piece working really well. The synth working really well to provide a almost. It feels like it's above. It's on top of the music and it feels a little bit back. That's the best way I can explain it. That's how it sounds to me. I'm not at all suggesting it's distance. It's still very connected. But if you are going to place things, and you do when you're mixing and mastering, you always do. There's a brilliant balance of where that sits, and some of it's got to do with how things like volume and spatial effects and stuff, but some of it is just down to the composition and understanding where to put certain notes and frequencies in the gaps in between the rest of the melody, and then you'll hear that change into the faster pace where I think they're going back into the chorus again. It's just brilliant. got some lungs on her, because that was a continuous, almost, it's probably just a double chorus, but because there's so much vocal in it, and there's very little time to sit back and take a deep breath, she's very well trained. It's a lot to do with your diaphragm, training your core, being actually actively fit, which she would have to be to put on a show like this and put on such a visual performance. She's fantastic. Amazing. Bit sad that it cut so short there, but that was amazing. Wow. Okay. So when you work your way through as many songs as I have doing reactions, I know there are probably loads more songs, and you guys are probably a lot more well versed in their catalog than I am, or probably will ever be, but you start to think that you're gonna start hearing repetitions, similar cycles and ideas, and there has been an extent to that, because all bands, even the greatest ones, have a unique formula, and they plug and play that into certain parts, particularly when you're looking at a concert where a lot of those songs are written at the same time, or off the same album, and they do that. However, I haven't heard a song from Nightwish where I go, oh, that's that song, or that's that, because it just hasn't happened yet, and I doubt it will. It's extraordinarily difficult to create something new. Most pieces of music, or at least variations of it, have already been created. That doesn't mean that anyone's copying or replicating. It's just there's so much music out there that you can't help but write something that I'm sure sounds similar to something else, whether it be a garage band or someone who is a top-notch kind of world-class singer. But I'm struggling to find pieces of theirs that I can link to anything else, and I think a lot of it is down to how they position the composition. That rhymed. And just the intelligence. It's a musical IQ that is special, and Thomas is in charge of a lot of that. But I will never take away from the rest of the band, because to understand his brain and his ideas, and then to execute it the way they do with their own flair and flavor, is where their talent lies. So, love that one. And very much looking forward to the next one. Please let me know where to go next. I'm sure you will. And I will listen, as I always do. Until then, please be safe, be nice to each other, and have a damn good day.